Hello friends, welcome back for another part of our walkthrough of Oxygen Not Included's base game. I am Magnet, and let's get back to it. Like we were alluding to, our water situation has pretty much stabilized. We are getting water from a renewable source now, meaning that we can start spending this water a little bit more liberally. One of the first things I want to do is I want to start producing steel. And in order to do that, we need a very particular setup for it, so let's start making it. I cleared out this area. This area is going to be kind of like my steel and hot material manufacturing, I guess. So you want to leave a little bit of space below it, by the way, because we will add on to this over time. But I'm just going to start off by building a row of igneous rock like this. I am building it one space below because I want to build the next layer out of metal tile. And I can use lead right now only because this is not expected to melt, this lead. So if you are in a situation where you need refined metal, you can just use lead for right now. There are better metals to use for this situation, but the lead is free and you can't argue with that. This is eventually going to be a big water tank. So as soon as they can make this watertight, I'll start sending water in there. And this is just going to be regular water, which was one of the reasons why I wanted to get our water stabilized before I started sending it in here. They're pretty close to having this watertight, so I'm just going to send a liquid vent here and connect it up to my pipes. Ooh, that's handy. It's like right next to it. Cool. Then, what's going to be on these tiles is going to be a handful of things that are going to be needed to produce steel, eventually glass, and eventually plastic. We're just going to worry about steel for right now. So, one thing we need is we need one of these. We need to move our rock crusher in there because I want all the things that are going to be producing steel all in one place. I'm also going to want some kind of ventilation in here because this is going to be mostly closed off. So I'm just going to put a small airflow tile here to get the carbon dioxide out. And I can hook up an oxygen vent in here just so my duplicates are able to breathe if someone's sitting in here for a long time and working, which is going to happen. The other thing I'm going to need, well, let me close off this side. We only need the one side open. And I have the side open that's facing the center of my base, so my duplicates can get in and out pretty good. The other thing we're going to need, I'm going to leave one space. I'm going to put a kiln here, like that. Then I'm going to leave one more space, and I'm going to build a metal refinery, like that. The reason that I have these spaces is we're going to eventually need to ship some extra stuff over here. So I'm going to put a couple of conveyor receptacles like this. I'll put an auto sweeper above that, a conveyor chute, which is going to be for a lot of different ingredients that are only going to go here and won't go anywhere else. And then finally, a conveyor loader that's going to send all the stuff out that we just made. I don't want to overfill this, so we will want to put a hydro sensor up here to make sure that we don't overfill it too much. We'll hook it up to our vent. And we will also need to pump out excess water from this because this water is going to be used as a coolant for this area. This area is going to get really hot. So I want to set up a pump like that. Set up some automation, like a hydro sensor right next to it. Hook that up. For this one, I want to probably fill it up if it's anywhere below, say, 400 kilograms. That's fine. For this one, I probably want to pump it out if we get to above 700 kilograms. Duplicates are hustling to make this thing happen, so that's good. We're also going to need to connect this to power, but this is going to draw a tremendous amount of power. So I'm going to use heavy watt wire to connect all this stuff up. And this stuff, we could probably move off of this wire type and just onto the heavy watt wire. We can just run it right there. We'll connect all this stuff up. There we go. And then we need to set up our heavy watt wire. Which, note that I am using gold for most of this, gold amalgam. I want to save my iron because we're going to need to refine iron in order to make steel. So let's get our duplicates on that. And then the heavy watt joint plate, we can just have it coming in. I don't know, it could be underneath if we want to. So I'm going to need to hook it up to this too. Hook all this stuff up to power, like that. Get all this stuff drawn over here. There we go. Giving our duplicates quite a few things to do, but we're getting pretty close to having everything done. One thing that we will need is we'll need some kind of coolant from this metal refinery. One of the reasons that I want to pool up all this polluted water specifically is because it makes a great coolant for this. And this metal refinery, when it refines something, it's going to put out very hot water. So the plan is I'm just going to tap one of these pools of water. Probably not this one because it has salt water in it, and salt water is not a very good medium for this. So maybe this one. I'm just going to set this up to pump in some water into my refinery. And then when it is done making whatever it's going to make, it's going to put out extremely hot water. And I'm just going to vent that water straight into space. So let's get all this stuff set up. Let's see, where's the best way to do this? I think I'm just going to need to get rid of these two. We can draw it up and go in there. Yeah. There we go. Replace our bridges. There we go. Connect it all up here. And just in case the liquid can get a little bit of the benefit of cooling here, I can just leave it in a regular pipe if I want to. It depends on how warm your polluted water is. If your polluted water is sitting up at like 40 degrees Celsius, it's going to be a big problem. I mean, we don't need to aggressively cool it, but if it's going to get any like side benefits from cooling it before it goes in, I'll take it. And then finally, when we get rid of this, it's going to need to get vented out into space. So I'm just going to draw a line all the way up here. We don't need these anymore, so I might as well deconstruct that. I never finished these tiles like I was talking about in the previous video. I probably should. I don't even need this saltwater line anymore. Maybe we'll deal with that later. There we go. We're going to send this all the way up, and we just need to like carve out a small space like that so the water can fall and it will be vented out into space if there's nothing behind it. So if you just mouse over it, you might notice an extra trait on these tiles that says space exposure. So that's what that means. If there's any gas or liquid in that space, it will just be vented out. Okay, we are almost got everything set up here. We will need more shipping. And the three things that we're going to be shipping here, this one's going to be for clay because we will eventually make ceramic with this. This one's going to be for coal because it's required for carbon and ceramic. Sorry, refined carbon and ceramic. And there's going to be a bunch of other jobs that we're going to need to put in here, but let's set up our shipping for this really fast. The shipping area is going to start getting really busy, by the way, so you'll want to really make sure that you know where everything is going. We're going to need 3 lines coming up here, so one of them is already being sent. It's our coal, so we don't need that. But we do need a way to get these ones out. This looks like a disaster, and that's because it is. Third one is coal. I think coal is this line, so we're going to get our coal sent up here as well. Try to get it out of here, I guess. This is such a mess. But, you know, for shipping this many things, it's going to happen, so not to worry. As long as you know where everything is going, then that's the whole idea. Alright, now we're going to send our coal line up here. Connect it up like this. This line we can use for our clay, which I just need to remember is the second conveyor in this setup here. The clay is just going to go right here. So we wait for the game to load, which is going to happen at some point. And then finally is going to be all the other stuff that we need to make steel. So send up a line like this. Oops, I think I was making that out of iron, but we should still have enough. We'll cancel these because it's going to need to go above them all. So we're going to send it like this. The conveyor bridge here. There we go. And then just connect it up to this chute. This chute is going to be sending a bunch of stuff that we need to make steel. So I believe it's this one. To make steel and to make the things that are needed to... the ingredients to make steel, we're going to need to send a handful of things. We're already going to be sending our coal on a separate line. One of which is going to be, let's see, eggshells. The eggshells are going to get crushed into lime, which we will talk about here in just a second. We're also going to want to send our poke shell molts of both sizes. We will also want to send our fossil, because that's another thing we can get lime from. We might as well also send all of our iron ore here, because that's where it's going to be refined, and if my duplicates need it for other jobs, they can just grab it from there instead of here. Let me see, is there anything else that we need? We will eventually want to send any lime if we happen to find it, but that's really unlikely. So I think that's good enough for now. On this end, we're going to want to start to create the things that we need in order to make steel. So one of them is going to be refined carbon. I'm just going to set that to 99. And then the rest are going to be lime. So poke shell molts, both of them going to lime. We're going to want to do those forever. The eggshell to lime and the fossil to lime. There. And then here, we will need to make some iron before we're able to make steel. So let's just set this up for a small amount. We don't want to go too hard because this area is going to get hot really fast. Since we're going to need to be cooling this, for the time being, we'll just use ice again like we did before. So I'm going to set up a handful of bins here just to be filled with ice. We will replace all this with better cooling tools later on, but for right now, since we still do have an excess amount of ice, which we might as well just double check. Yeah, 35 tons, we still have plenty. And it's just regular ice, by the way, because that's the type that's going to turn into also regular water. So that's going to be the idea here. And then when we ship stuff out, we'll set this up afterwards, but basically this is going to be everything other than the ingredients that we sent on this line. This line's going to be for our clay. We will be talking about ceramic a little bit later, but at least for now we might as well get our everything set up for shipping it. Get it all up to power. Alright, duplicants are pretty busy up here. Let's also request some ice, so liquefiables. We can also ask for snow if we happen to find any. There we go, so our duplicants will go grab that. And then that will help keep all this stuff cool. You can eventually fully wall this off with a bunch of more metal, but this is a really tight setup, especially when we get the other parts in here. So this will be fine. Once the water level touches the top, the metal helps. If it's all the way wrapping around, but it won't do a tremendous amount more than just the water touching the top, so we'll get there. I do want to at least keep going until we have one shipment of steel, or like one batch of steel being created. Come on, game. There we go. Just a quick reminder on the materials here. If you can use your gold amalgam on random stuff like this around the map, that'd be perfect. Probably don't want to use your wolframite because that's going to come in handy in just a little bit. And also don't want to use too much of your iron ore. You will have to use it at some point, but at least save some so that you can refine it to turn into steel later. Here comes all the stuff that we need. So eggshells being loaded into the machine automatically. We now have refined carbon being done, but yeah, you can look at this line. Tremendous amount of fossil, which we will get a lot more later on, which is going to help us produce steel. How's our line going out into space? Looks good. We just need this to be done, and then we'll be good to go. We are still awaiting coolant. We just need power to be set up to this really quickly, so we'll get that up here, and then you'll be able to see this whole thing in action. But this is the basics. Oh, wow. I forgot to change how much we should be requesting here. We should only be requesting about 1,500 of ice and snow. We don't want to be taking in 20 tons. It's way too much. There, 1,500 kilograms per. This is going to allow it to melt faster. If it was 20 and it all melted at the same time, that would be totally out of control. So yeah, we definitely want to split it up for a couple of different reasons. Okay, let's see. Just waiting on the rest of the stuff to get up here. I think the coolant will be the last thing that we'll need. We'll have somebody make some iron and then make some steel, and we'll call it good. We should have all the ingredients for the rest of this stuff. We could start labeling what we want to ship out of here, so I'm going to say that I want to have everything except for I don't want refined carbon or coal to go out, because those are needed here. I don't want lime to be shipped out. Let's uncheck that. Industrial ingredients, I don't want my poke shell molts to be sent out. Don't need anything from any of these, I don't think. Liquefiable, we're not even going to encounter that here. Manufacturing material, I don't want to... Well, I do want to send my steel out, because there's no point in it sitting in here anymore after it's done. I don't want to send my iron ore back, because we're already sending the iron ore here to begin with. What else is there? What am I missing? Eggshells, we don't want to send that back. We also don't want to send back our fossil. And probably our iron, too. Whenever that shows up, we'll have to check it here. I'll just uncheck lead, because if not everything is checked in the category, as soon as something new appears, it will default to not being checked. Here we go. We're getting our coolant in here, and this should be good. I'm going to stress once again that you should really only be sending polluted water in here because it can take a lot more heat than the other types of water that are on the map. If you have water that can't take that much heat and it gets through one of the hotter jobs here, like steel, it will break this pipe and it will create steam and make a big mess here. So that's definitely not something that you want to do. For the steel production, now that we have iron, you can just hit it for forever. And then anytime that that's available, they should be creating steel for you. We need to also send this back via shipping to get all of our stuff shipped back to the center. So, there you go. That's pretty much it. That's how to produce steel. This will keep filling up with water until it's all the way full. We should have a good amount of reserves because our polluted water geyser is still active, and it should be active for a while. So yeah, we should be in pretty good shape now, and that should be what we need to start producing some other things. We will need a good collection of steel. We'll need a good pile of steel, I guess, before we can start getting a lot of work done down in the oil biome, which is going to be turning it into petroleum and that kind of stuff. So we're going to do that here in just a bit. But for now, thanks for watching. I hope this was informative, and I'll see you in the next video here really soon.